What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Wave podcast here at the Culture Wave Media Network, and we are back in the world of the Duttons. It is the first 3 episodes of season 1 of the Dutton Ranch that myself and Liz Seiko are going to be covering. Liz, hello.
Hello, hello.
We covered the last season of the main Yellowstone program, where we lost the patriarch of the Dutton family, but we saw the aftermath of what was to come. And we discussed a lot in the conclusion of that season of where we were going to go. Mm-hmm. And that might have been only a little over a year ago, but we're here. And there are 2 spinoffs on network television and streaming that have both been massive successes. Marshall's the story that follows Casey Dutton, which we haven't, I've watched a few episodes we haven't had a chance to see yet.
No, I haven't
Maybe
watched
eventually down the road we'll come back and do like a full recap of that and just preview for people who, if they want to see that, let us know in the comments. But that show is one of the biggest shows on CBS in like over a decade from week to week. My family's a huge fan of it. And Dutton Ranch had the biggest launch in the history of Paramount Plus since the streamer debuted. And we missed out on the first 2 episodes, the 2-episode premiere, because scheduling conflicts, weather conditions, a lot of different things. So we're going to cover the first 3 episodes the best that we can, as quickly as we can in this. So this one is the conclusion of Yellowstone. Beth and Rip, obviously, still, they're married, they're together. They have fully adopted Carter, who is a big boy now. He's not a kid anymore, even though he's in high school. He looks like a man. Played by Finn Little. And, of course, Beth and Rip played by Kelly Reilly and Cole Hauser. And the way this series opens up, this ranch that they owned winds up burning down. They have a massive fire, and they have to kind of grab all their stuff, and they have to relocate. And they relocate to Texas. Mm-hmm. They relocate to Rio Paloma. I was excited to hear that because there's always the chance that they can reunite with the Quad 6 crew, which has my boy Jefferson White, who I love that character more than anybody. So I'm happy that it's placed in Texas. But the biggest thing is that we get a real whole new cast of characters within the first 3 episodes of this. We have the Jackson family, led by the matriarch, Beulah Jackson, played by the Oscar-winning Annette Bening. Her family is basically a mirror of the Duttons,
yes,
which is very interesting. We have Courtney plays the off-the-hinges, coke-addicted Rob Will, who's already a fan favorite in my household because the absolute unhingedness that he is. We have Juan Pablo Raba, who plays Joaquin, who is the adopted son of Beulah. He is very calculated. He is very similar to Jamie. I think he is basically the Jamie of this family. He gets a lot of things done. He's not on the rancher side of things. He's more of a business guy. And then we wind up finding out that Oriana, played by Natalie Alyn Lind, who is getting caught up with Carter. She is also the daughter of Rob Will and the granddaughter of Beulah. So I want to start first with, one, how are you feeling now that we're back with Beth and Rip? Because a lot of people are very excited about that. And also the intro to the Jackson family and kind of their role. And especially we're getting this already Beulah versus Beth kind of showdown that I think a lot of people were hoping for, getting a more powerful female character that can kind of go nose to nose with Beth week to week.
Yeah, so going into this show, when we ended Yellowstone, I was not excited to hear that we were doing spinoffs. I liked where Yellowstone ended. I was satisfied with the characters, and so I personally didn't feel like we needed to do a bunch of spinoffs. I think that's why I'm not watching Marshall's, is I still feel like I don't necessarily need to see more of that world. Maybe if it ends up as a full season being really good, I'll check it out. But, I mean, Dutton Ranch, the real reason is because I love Beth. Beth Dutton's character to me is just like she's honestly like every girl's crush, I think, because of just like how powerful and confident and like badass she is. And so for me, I'm watching this because of her. I'm very happy right now after watching 3 episodes. I think that essentially it's Yellowstone format just in Texas, which I'm not against. I'm excited to see new storylines happen and also watch a part of Yellowstone, what I loved is actually watching the world of cowboys.
Yeah.
And something that I cannot relate to at all with, and it's completely out of my world of being in like New Jersey. And so for me, that's what's really attractive. I can get the melodrama and all of the high stakes politics and just like life situations from other shows. But I think what makes this world so attractive is the appreciation for farms and for just like that Western world. So I'm now excited to see what it's like in Texas. Clearly there's different problems already coming for them. I mean, one of the even just him being like, who is it? Azul?
Yeah, his
the helper. The first cowboy
that he brings in, played by J.R. Villarreal. Yeah,
where he's like, "Yep, there's like copperheads out here. You got to watch out for them." I'm like, can you imagine coming from Montana where it's like you have to worry about the wolves, but now you actually have to worry about snakes here? Like it's two different, same problems, but from different entities.
Yeah.
So I do like the world we're building. The moment Annette Bening, I did not know she was in this. Okay. Literally, I just started it, and then the moment she came on my screen, I was like, hallelujah. I was like, we are here. I'm so excited because I think that if you just have Beth being the most powerful and smartest and manipulative person in this world, it's going to be boring, and she's going to be dancing circles around all these people. I'm very excited to see her have to compete and outmove Beulah, because I don't really think we've seen Beth have to go head to head with another strong female character. Yes, maybe like once in a while, but not for like long story wise.
Yeah, there were like ancillary females that came into Yellowstone.
In and out. Yeah.
Like Piper Parabo was the most kind of name recognized one. But I mean, Annette Bening is going to, I mean, just her presence, like you said, alone on screen is going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
She resembles that kind of that headstrong nature that John Dutton had, that Costner played in the Yellowstone proper. So I'm definitely excited to see that. And I love that you brought up, because I agree with you. It's like Yellowstone brought Westerns back to like the forefront, that like they're kind of a genre again. And Taylor Sheridan created this whole world of having his own life kind of reflected on screen, which I really appreciate. He made his own career that way by doing things like that. And I agree. Like when we kind of concluded Yellowstone, I mean, I love that series when it first started. I was very excited for when Paramount Network was announced and they were going to do these prestige dramas on cable television. And that's the way it started. And I'm also like you, I'm very satisfied with the way the first 3 episodes of this goes. I don't think it's perfect. But I think that there's a lot of appealing things about it. I've been following a lot of the spinoffs even when they were first announced, so I knew Annette Bening was in this. Obviously love Annette. Ed Harris being in this is a big selling point for me. I think he's one of the most underrated actors ever. His wife just got a lot of shine for the Oscars for winning Best Supporting Actress, Amy Madigan, for Weapons. And I just think he's someone that is very deserving of his own accreditation and accolades. I also love, my brother and I both said this in watching the episodes, I love that he's not playing a villain, because he is so typical to play the villain because he's so good at it, but he's just a vet. He's just like a literal veterinarian that lives kind of in Texas, and he knows the lay of the land, and I think he's going to be a really great asset for Beth and Rip. I'm curious to see the relationship between Everett, which is Ed Harris's character, and Beulah, because we get a little glimpse of it at the funeral for the one rancher that Rob Will kills in the premiere. So I'm interested to see where that kind of goes. Even the stuff we get in the 3rd episode with Zachariah, this new guy that Rip brings in as his second worker on the ranch. He's played by Marc Menchaca. You just got done watching Ozark, so now you're probably very familiar with him. And it's just, I like that these shows can bring in really great character actors along the way to do these roles, playing ranchers or playing members of that society that can kind of serve a purpose in any which way. You know? So through 3 episodes, I'm digging it. I am very curious to see what comes of Rob Will, because he has a very explosive debut. Jai Courtney, he's an Aussie in real life, so he's very far removed from this world. And he comes in playing like he has this insane manic energy. I mean, he can fly off the handle at any beck and call, and he's unlike any character that we've ever seen in Yellowstone, I think. Again, like you can make the comparisons to the way that kind of the way that Casey kind of started, but I think they're very different characters.
Very different.
And so I'm curious to see what happens with him, and when he does get out of rehab, like, is he like, he has already clashed with Rip in a smaller capacity. Now Rip's son and his daughter are hitting it off. I don't know how that's gonna go. So I'm curious on what happens with that.
Yeah, and I think what makes it so enticing just right from the beginning is, all right, we already know that if you're watching this show, you're a fan of Beth and Rip's. You know that. Now it's like we're on the ride with those two, figuring out what this town is all about and figuring out who has history with who and why is this person doing this. And I'm excited, to see Everett. I think that his character is eventually going to have to pick a side. I think that whether it's from Beth or Beulah, one of them is going to be like, listen, it's now or never. It's either you work for her or you work for me. You can't be on both sides. And I don't know what side he's going to pick because Beth's new in town. But I'm excited to see what happens with Carter and Oriana. Oriana's a little crazy
She
character.
is an absolute lunatic.
A little bit of a lunatic. Yeah. I want the next episode for her character to show us a new side of her because I don't want her to just be a psychotic teenage girl.
Yeah.
I want her to have a little bit more depth to her and show us like, okay, where does this anger for her grandmother come from? Is it because of who her father is, just because they both have clear anger issues, or like, is there more to it? I'm ready to see her character develop a little bit more.
No, I'll say, kind of going off, we were just recording before this, our thoughts on Euphoria, which I'm sure there's not much crossover in the audiences, but Euphoria does this thing which Yellowstone also did, where they have a lot of these flashback kind of origin stuff that we saw with the whole Dutton family with Rip. I would love to see that with the Jacksons. Yeah. I think that even though, yes, I understand the audience deeply cares about the Duttons, it's very important for us to be along for the ride with these other new characters because they are going to serve as a foil to kind of go against Rip and Beth for a number of seasons. I don't know how long the show is going to run for, but I do think that it's obviously going to be very successful. It already is very successful. Kelly and Cole have talked about how they love portraying these characters, and I can't see them doing a 2-season run with this. So diving deeper into the characters, I do think could be a good thing. I will say the Carter and Oriana stuff is definitely my least favorite across the 3 episodes. I think that this is no offense to Finn Little. I don't think he's a very strong actor. I think it shows in some scenes, and I hope that with good writing they can hopefully change that. I don't know what they're going to do with dealing. Like, we haven't seen them. I mean, we did this with Casey's son a little bit in Yellowstone. But it was always stuff that I wasn't a huge fan. Like, it just kind of was added stuff anyway that I didn't necessarily care about. I kind of feel a little similar to Carter. I want to root for him as a character. I want to see him kind of, but he's just getting himself wrapped up in such stupid shit. Yeah. And I don't understand why. There's no reason for us to understand why.
Besides her being a pretty girl, like, I think that's very shallow. And like, I want to see more depth to both of them of like, okay, why is Carter literally getting himself potentially arrested for this girl that he just met?
Yeah, I would like to actually see them do more of what we get a glimpse of. I think it's in episode 2 with Carter and Rip when they're at the dinner table. And he's talking to him about kind of how he's finagling things, because knowing Rip's character and what he's been through, and obviously if you're going to marry somebody like Beth, you got to have a little bit of crazy in you in a different kind of way. I mean, Beth, though she's a great character, she's an incredibly strong, independent woman. It's
crazy. She's batshit.
Is a literal nutcase. And so I would like to see, I think that if you're going to go in a direction where you could balance things out with Carter, I think the father-son dynamic between him and Rip would be really great and could benefit the show greatly. So I kind of hope that we start, like, I don't want Carter to just be designated to be like, all right, so the Carter story's over here and it's just him fucking and bucking. Like, this is all that's happening. Like, he's just hooking up with girls and he's going to high school and then he's ditching high school and he doesn't care that he's because he's the weird older kid was held back. Because that's the other thing. We don't even know he says how old he is. He's 20, right? He's 20, he says. So he's underage, but he's going to high school at an age older because he didn't go to school previously. So he's a 20-year-old in high school that now is already removed from the high school setting after one episode. Yeah. So I don't know what they do with that storyline. I mean, Oriana, again, like, yes, Natalie Alyn, she's a pretty girl. She's a pretty face, but, like, there's not much to her character other than that right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of fire, a lot of anger. I kind of want to see, like, a little, like, she was very aggressive towards her grandma, which, don't get me wrong, very entertaining. But you know what? I'm interested to see, like, her in a room with maybe her father.
I was just going to say the same thing. I think when we see the way would she talk to Beulah that way if Rob Will was in the room? Like, I don't know.
I don't know either. So
I'm curious to see where we go with that. A character that I'm very curious your thoughts on, because we kind of have these characters in Yellowstone, but this is a different kind of side. I feel like Sheriff Wade. So Josh Stewart plays Sheriff Wade. Very quietly understated performance, but very impactful in the scenes that he's in, I feel like. Because he's a character that every time he's on screen, I'm like, what is up with this guy?
Yeah, he looks high. He looks high.
He just looks like somebody that, like, you wouldn't want to cross.
Yeah.
And it's a similar thing to what you were talking about before with Everett, where you're like, he's going to have to pick a side. Sheriff Wade makes it very clear to Beulah at the funeral. He's like, I know my job. Don't try to, like, or he's like, I know what purpose you serve in this community. Don't try to tell me what purpose I serve. And now he's had 2 interactions, or run-ins, I should say, with Carter and Oriana, and he told him, he's like, I want to like you, but, you're already fucking up, kid.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the right... I shouldn't know who you are already.
No.
This is a big problem. Obviously, the last thing we see with him and Oriana is he's pissing on Oriana's current boyfriend, ex-boyfriend's truck, and Oriana's smashing his taillights and his back windshield, and she's freaking out. So I'm curious your thoughts on him and what he might serve in this overall story. With, you think he could fuck over, like, the Duttons? Like, where do you think we can see his character over the next few weeks?
No, I picture him trying to stay the course of the good sheriff that is going to stick to the rules of the town, because he doesn't want to get caught up in the Jackson bullshit. But I think I could see him aligning with Beth and Rip and then realizing, like, oh, I didn't dodge a crazy bullet. I'm in the middle of one now too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He also could be like a third party, and it could be now Beth, Beulah, and then the police department. And it could be just like the triangle of always trying to, like, the power struggle between the 3 of them.
Yeah.
Of who's going to run town.
Yeah, I can see that.
Which I could see that too. That kind of makes it a little bit longer of a series, in my opinion, if you have the sheriff not willing to just bow to either of the big parties at play. So that I could see happening. Yeah, I like his character. I think I would just want to see more of it too, of, like, what he has to say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. My biggest thing that I'm curious too is that, so I think I texted you this even before you had watched the series. You get this huge 2-episode premiere. People are going crazy over Dutton Ranch. And Chad Feehan, the showrunner and creator of the series, is already out. So he's not coming back for season 2, which I don't know what to think about that, because a lot of the rumors were that Kelly Reilly and Cole Hauser were having creative differences with him, and they're executive producers on the show. And Paramount has a very bad history with this shit now, because did you see the Mobland stuff that came out?
No.
You don't watch Mobland, right?
No.
Tom Hardy wouldn't come out of his trailer. He's getting written off for season 3. The whole show revolves around him. It's a mess.
Oh, wow.
It's a mess. And Paramount has had a couple shows do things like this, and a couple Taylor Sheridan shows have changed showrunners and things like that as well. Now, Sheridan is not involved in this on a writing capacity. He's a producer, but he's doing a lot of different things right now. He's doing feature films. He has other stories. He just wrote The other thing, the Madison, which I still haven't had a chance to see, which I think that family comes over and takes over the ranch. But I'm going to be honest. I think the actual dialogue in this show is better than what we've been getting the last 2 seasons of Yellowstone. And so I'm worried about what that could look like eventually, like where we're going to go with this. Like, I feel like he has a really good handle on Beth as a character. Like, there's no difference from her character versus, and again, that's a credit to her performance, obviously, as well. But he knows her voice, which I feel like is a hard thing to do because she's already an iconic TV character.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. Like she has a line in this in the 3rd episode where she tells Joaquin that he reminded her of her father's lawyer, meaning Jamie.
Yeah.
Which, like, I just love that through line and how there can be those connections with Yellowstone. So I'm worried a bit about where we go beyond this season with a whole new showrunner. Like, I would hope they bring in somebody that either like knows the characters very well and maybe previously wrote on Yellowstone.
Well, it's got to be a little tough coming in as a brand new showrunner to an already established character world, because like usually in television, showrunners literally run it and they're the decision makers and they're making the shots. But I don't know. I could see Kelly Reilly and Cole being very opinionated about their characters and protective about their characters because they want to do right by them. And if the showrunner expected full control, but then you have the 2 main leads being like, no, we don't agree with that, I could see just that causing a problem. And to me, that's not super far-fetched. I also kind of then want to say, yeah, I trust the actors more because they've been with the characters longer. They know what their characters would do. A part of me thinks that maybe they wanted to have Beth and Rip start to have problems with each other, and they were like, no, like that's the one thing that won't come between these characters is like cheating or like not being on the same page anymore. Like I could see maybe that being a really big problem, because I think that's what so many people love about Rip and Beth's character and relationship is that they are dealing with absolute insanity, but at the end of the day, they're always there for each other and are coming back to each other. And I think that is one of the driving forces for this show. And so, like, again, super hypothetical is like if they wanted to change that as the showrunner, I could see that causes a problem.
Yeah, I wonder if it's something where I wonder if it was something where the Jacksons were getting like more screen time, quote unquote, but it's like we're still establishing this other family.
Yeah.
So I would hope that's not what it is, but I'm not sure. Couple other things. We end this episode with the herd that Beth had basically just sold off for all these great Angus steaks now to this upscale restaurant. I believe it's in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And we come to find out, we know as the audience early on in the episode, but Beth comes home to the revelation of Rip showing her that a number of steed in the herd have foot and mouth disease, I think it's called. Yep. And so first thing, what is this going to mean for them? Like they're in a very shitty situation. And also, do you think that Beulah had something to do with it because they won the bull at the auction against them?
I don't know, but I don't know about that. You
think it could just be a common thing that just happens that it's just throwing a wrench in the plan?
Could be. It's funny because it is one of those things of like, I don't know. So like I've heard of foot and mouth, but then like humans for like children, I never knew that like cattle could get it. And so then because of this show, like I'm legitimately Googling like what happens when a cow gets mouth and foot disease. And so then I'm learning that like when cattle get it, it actually doesn't affect like the food aspect of it. So they can still like sell the meat essentially. It just can kill every single part of their cattle within like 24 hours.
Okay.
So that I think is what the real concern is that they still need and are heard in order to have them breed with each other so that they can continue this line, this lineage of like the prime Angus beef that Beth was just selling. But if they all die and then this breed goes just dies off, then they have no way to continue the legacy of it. So I think that's more of the concern of them also have just bought this cattle and then they don't have anything to show for it. I don't know. I could see maybe Beulah doing it but like, I don't know. They didn't hint anything at that at all. So if it were to come into it, I would be a little surprised.
I feel a little random, yeah.
A little surprised. Like right now, it just seems like, oh, this is just something that can happen.
Yeah. I think that's fair. The other thing we get in this third episode, the third episode I felt like was probably the best. I personally think of the three. I just think it's been doing well week to week. We get this crazy tense scene on the ranch with Zachariah, with Azul, with Everett, and Dale Dickey comes in as a cameo. She's speeding down to the ranch, to Rip and Beth's ranch. And she gets out and she holds Zachariah at gunpoint. And Zachariah basically gives himself up. He's basically like, all right, God, take me. I'm ready to die now. And we get a little bit of information when Rip kind of comes and gets in between it and tells her to put the gun down. We find out that he had a relationship with her daughter, got into an argument, accidentally killed her, but it kind of wasn't an accident. It was like this kind of weird, like, drunken rage that he's now... Obviously he's kind of a born again since he's leaving prison. But there's also that moment in this episode too where Everett, I love that they put this in there, where Everett kind of says to Rip, he goes, "You're working with Zachariah now?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "You okay with that?" So it's planting the seeds of like, what is up with this guy that we don't know. And I love that again. It's a really well and like a really industry experienced veteran character actor like Marc Menchaca, because I think it could add a lot to the depth of Zachariah's character. So what did you think of that scene and kind of this turmoil already? Because this is different turmoil than the bunkhouse shit that we got in Yellowstone. Because Yellowstone, there was always just the camaraderie of the fraternization of what the bunkhouse was and sleeping with other guys' girls, and the way that they kind of would get into like these tizzies, which very much resembles what we see on the Jackson Ranch so far. But this is now like Rip is kind of trying to establish a crew, and he's got to take these random stragglers that are just coming out of prison, and he's got to take people on, and he tries to give Zachariah an opportunity like he did Lloyd. And so I'm curious what you thought about that scene and kind of where we can maybe see Zachariah's role in all of this in the next few weeks.
I like that they told us this episode 3, because the whole time I was kind of like, all right, well, what did this guy do to be in prison anyways? And that was already kind of like looming over us. I think by doing this early enough, it now opens it up to give us 2 possibilities. Either he really is looking for redemption and he has made peace with it, and they're going to go the route of everybody has a past and sometimes you do need to give people a chance. Or we're going to go the complete opposite, like melodrama route, where this guy is actually dangerous and like he does have a bad streak in him, and he's just saying all of this to be a cowboy again. But at the end of the day, like, he could fuck up again as well.
Yeah. I think there's a lot with this third episode that sets up a lot for the season.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about it. We talked a little bit before we started recording for the people that are watching this episode. Liz will be with us for the next 3 weeks of us covering the show, but the final 3 weeks, she will be abroad. She'll be an international girl, not on a ranch, but somewhere very different than a ranch. But very, very different than a ranch. She will be in Asia, so it'll be great.
At this address. No.
You guys can send postcards to this address. No, but I am looking forward to covering this show with you for the next 3 weeks.
Me too.
I look forward to hearing your thoughts off camera about what you think about the show when it wraps up. But I am happy to be back in this world. I'm not going to lie. It's those moments where I sit down with this is my family show. This is my whole family sits down together and watch it. My brother and I already have our whole thing with the way that Rob Will is called to in the first episode. Every time he's on screen now, we just yell Rob Will, because that's just who his character is. And I think that It's setting up a strong first 3 episodes. That's what I really appreciate about it. There hasn't been anything that's been filler. There hasn't been anything that's been monotonous. Yes, the Carter and Oriana stuff I haven't necessarily loved, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and it's not something that I will completely throw away yet. So looking forward to the next few weeks of covering this with you, but let us know your thoughts in the comment section. What did you guys think about the first 3 episodes of the first season of Dutton Ranch? What are some of the storylines you guys are really compelled by and interested in? Are you guys looking forward to us covering this week to week? Did you guys watch our coverage of Yellowstone? Are you guys watching the other spinoffs? Let us know in the comment section. We'd love to have a conversation with you guys. We're wrapping up our coverage right now of Euphoria. We have reviews upcoming in television for Spider Noir with myself, Vinny, and Sean. A lot of other TV and film stuff coming for you guys as well soon, and we're covering the Tribeca Film Festival again this year, so we'll have a lot of reviews and conversations and interviews for that stuff as well. I have an interview upcoming that I think a lot of the people watching this would enjoy with director Adam Carter Raymeyer, who directed Caroline, which is a Western kind of caper. So you guys should check that movie out. It comes out on June 5th, and you guys could check out that interview when it drops on June 1st. But thank you guys for watching. Just signing off, I'm Darian Scalamoni.
I'm Liz Seiko.
And we'll see you guys next time.
This is The Culture.